Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Oh,
yes,
I'm
wearing
so
a Captain Marvel shirt, which you can't really see very well, but it's okay.
You're welcome. I see it, Ollie.
See it in your heart?
Yep. I see it on my bedroom floor.
Nerd On.
Hey everyone, welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome, even flirkins.
Especially flirkins.
Especially.
You are
because
welcome
they're so
here.
cute and fluffy.
Yeah,
Yep.
They are.
I'm trusting you.
Yeah. If you haven't guessed, this episode we're going to be talking about Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel, the latest entry in the MCU,
I love it.
highly anticipated by a good number of people, I would say, me included.
A majority of the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always a good time at a Marvel movie. But before we jump into that, we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit. My name is Ollie, one of your hosts.
My name's Tom. I'm Corey.
I'm Caitlin.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at Patreon. Our patrons allow us to keep the lights on, keep going, keep growing as much as we are. If you are new to Patreon, essentially it's a membership service that you can support your favorite creators in creating the stuff that they create. How many times can I use the word create?
One more. You could
As
probably
many as
create
you
one
want.
more
Okay,
opportunity.
one more time. With supporting your favorite creators, you do get
Goodies.
creations like bonus episodes, early access, merch discounts, all sorts of stuff.
More
the Discord,
things we create.
yes, the Discord server is awesome. All of our fans write into that, talk to us, talk to other fans. But yeah, check that out.
Just talk to us.
Patreon.com/NerdOnTV.
We're so lonely.
Wow.
Not really.
Since this is a movie episode, we will have a certain schedule to go off of. First we're going to go and guess that grump.
Oh, yes.
So at the end when we rate it, we get to, for the beginning part, see who's going to have the lowest rating. And we're going to go over our initial reactions, which spoils that. And then go over some of the information of the film. So like the synopsis, the brief history and the lore, and then the production information. And then we get into our meat and potatoes of the show, which is our favorite parts, favorite characters, any qualms we might have. And then finally we rate it. And then if we have some time at the end, we're going to gush.
The elusive rating.
So, Tom,
All about it.
so if we can rate it,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Like, what do we do?
That means our first segment is going to be our
Guess That Grump. Da-da-da-da.
Superman, but for
Da-da-da-da.
Marvel.
So at the end of our discussion, we rate from a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. If you're Caitlin and you like the thing, then it's
I do.
typically a 5 or higher. And if it's Ollie and doesn't have Batman in it, it's typically a 4 or lower. Probably lower than a 4.
Yeah.
No matter how high or how low the number is, if you're the lowest in the group, you are the grump of the week.
That's right.
We encourage everyone at home to play along, send us your numbers and who you think would have been the grump of the week.
Yeah.
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 We've had unanimous 5 grumps.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and
so
were you surprised 10 seconds later
Yeah.
to hear the results?
I am going to, since I always explain, I will
Yeah.
guess first, and I think it is going to be Caitlin.
Wow.
I had some inside knowledge.
we'll just go around the table here. I guess Tom.
I'm going to guess also Tom.
Also Tom.
So 2 for Tom, 1 for Caitlin.
Caitlin.
What is happening?
What is Caitlin?
Oh, shout out.
Shout out.
Ollie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go Josh.
All right. So we have
Sweet
2 for
baby
Caitlin,
Josh.
2 for Josh, 2 for Tom.
2, 2, and 2?
Sorry, 1 for Josh.
Like we're an even number here.
Well, Luna probably.
Luna gets a vote.
I read 2 Joshes next to each other because I'm trying to keep tabs on who got what. Anyway,
See.
there we are. So now that you've guessed the grump, that moves us right into the spoiler alert. Initial reactions. We'll get to find out immediately if we were right or wrong. Sort of.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sort of. It can definitely,
still fluctuates.
there can be curveballs sometimes. They can, like, I can say that I like the thing, but then I might be like, but
4.2.
it
So
it's all
has
relative,
a
too.
problem.
So what is
Yeah.
your
What is your initial reaction?
what's your initial
I
reaction?
liked it.
You like the movie.
I liked the movie. Wow. I really liked it. But I do have a couple of qualms with it. So it's
we're not there
exactly
yet.
the thing that I said. I really liked it. It was a great movie. I will say personally, too, it was a movie that I needed to see right now. So that is very
Always
strong
carry some
How you
weight.
do that?
for me.
Oh, I'm going to do a finger flick
Yeah, that's impressive.
for everyone
to
at
me.
home.
Yes.
Wow.
All right. But yeah, that's me.
Joshua.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it and I really, really enjoyed it. I mean,
Would
I know
you
that I
say
say
you-
that. I liked it.
Liked the movie.
I liked the movie.
Say you like the movie.
Yeah, I have some things to say about it in terms of I walked out of it going, wow, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be real. I really, really enjoyed it. It's in my top 5 of Marvel movies.
Wow. Okay.
Damn.
Whoever picked Josh is an idiot.
I just,
Ollie Oxenbury.
I was just going to say is I see all the hate online.
Whoops.
And I'm like, I
got ahead of myself there.
I don't. People,
Get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Ollie Oxenbury is what I said.
Oxenbury. Oh, yes.
No.
Yes.
They
I'm
are.
wearing
So
a
happy.
Captain Marvel shirt, which you can't really see very well, but it's okay.
You're welcome.
I see it, Ollie.
See it in your heart.
Yep.
I sit on my bedroom floor.
So, all right.
That's for the late night show.
And as always, nerd on.
Yeah.
We're never going
Nude
to
on.
post.
I like that. All right, continue, Ollie.
I love the movie. It was a fun watch. I love the characters in it. I too had some little things that I would prefer to have been handled a little differently, but I went in with unsure expectations based on the cloud of BS that's been happening around it. So I kind of with the Galactus around it. So I didn't see any of. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised. It's not in my top 5, but it is in my top 10.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, I watched this film twice, and same thing. I saw a lot of early reviews and all the press that went around it, and when that happens, it gets me really excited because I love an underdog. I love something that can beat the odds.
That's a good point. I think about that.
And that could
about it that
beat
way.
like the expectations that are people setting for it.
Yeah.
And so like maybe that's also what works on me when I watch DC films. It's because I want them to succeed. And I want them to do well and I want them to be loved. But I don't want them to be loved for no reason. I want them to be loved on the merits that they're a good film.
Yeah.
And this to me is a good film.
Cool.
Wow.
I dig that. For me, I was really excited going into it. I'm a huge fan of Brie Larson. So
Step in line.
what's that? I know, right?
Pilgrim.
But yeah, I went in, without any sort of expectation, which was kind of nice. Ignoring all the things that have been online and people have been saying.
Stigma, so to speak.
So I went in without an expectation, and I was pleasantly surprised by the end of it. So I'm really, like you said, I wish there were some things I wish had been handled differently.
Yeah.
But as Tom and I say, hindsight's 20/20.
Right.
And it's really easy to see for us to say that, but when you're in the midst of making a movie, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
So they weren't big things. They weren't things that broke it. So for me, I had a really enjoyable experience.
Very nice.
All
There we
right.
go.
And we'll have some high numbers.
Maybe.
That
Maybe.
leads us to a synopsis, a little brief history, and some lore.
Yeah.
We're going to keep this synopsis real brief.
Yeah.
For a couple reasons, but also to avoid major spoilers. If you haven't seen it, you should pause this now. Go see it.
You should definitely
Please
see it because
come back.
as soon
Yeah.
as we start picking it apart, there's going to be spoilers. But
Yeah. So
All over the place.
it starts on the home planet for the Kree. And
Hello.
wow, I didn't even put that together.
Cool.
No, I
That's
didn't.
amazing.
And so we are open on Brie Larson, or as we know her now, Veers, awakening from a dream and immediately going to Jude Law's character. I don't remember his name right now.
Jan Rog.
Yeah, to train at the crack of dawn because she can't sleep 7 nightmares. Fast forward a little bit, she's part of basically this special ops team for the Kree, and they go to this planet to rescue one of their own. And actually, it's the same planet from
Torfo.
Yeah, from the comic book.
Higher, Further, Faster.
And so when they get there, it's, a lot of refugees are there and stuff like that. And she's like, we're going to go in, even though it was a little dangerous. So she goes in alone, and the refugees actually turn out to be Skrull, impersonating refugees. A big fight ensues, and we find out that she is on her way. She's captured and by the Skrull, and her memories are being dug through. She escapes. She gets to Earth. Hilarity ensues. A little
bit
fish
of it.
out of water situation.
Yeah.
While remaining a total badass, she meets Nick Fury, Two-Eyed Nick Fury, and Phil Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Nicholas Joseph Fury.
They become fast friends because he's fascinated with her. He gets in a car wreck with one
And
of the
she's
Skrull.
furious.
And he's like, all right, this is some real shit right now. What you don't know is that the leader of the Skrulls has actually infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. since crash landing on Earth, or C-52?
C-52.
53. I was like 53.
It's 1 plus DC's 52.
And so, there's a lot of this misguided who's who kind of situation going on. And you actually find out that, and this is really fast forwarding through it all, she used to be a pilot here on Earth, and her mentor was essentially a Kree scientist that was trying to get light travel. Marvel. And she created this engine and ended up needing to blow it up because we don't know yet. But fast forward, she was in this wreck and everyone thought she was dead. So now she knows Veers is from Earth, and she had a name named Carol Danvers.
Carol Dan.
Or Carol Dan, right. So they go find one of her old friends who is a pilot with her in the program. They were both kind of test pilots.
Maria Rambo.
Mm-hmm. And the daughter is pulling out pictures and memories and all that stuff. And then the Skrull come and have the daughter. And you find out that they're actually the good guys, and they're just refugees trying to find their way home. And the Kree actually want this light speed travel to basically go around and conquer worlds.
Push them to extinction.
Yeah. So she has her hero moment where she's like, all right, the Kree are evil. Let's do this. Action ensues. And she essentially
lots of action.
Unlocks her full potential, is no longer bound by the terms of the Kree or the inhibitor, and becomes one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe. And then
scares off Ronan.
Yeah, there's some hilarity with cats and stuff and losing eyes, but yeah, I would say
and then she leaves to come back.
Yeah.
After the snapping. So a little
That's as quick as I could do it.
No, that's fine.
It's pretty good.
A little bit of
really
the
good,
brief history or of the lore of the character, and we've talked about her before. Is that coming from the Kree background, like in the original comic books, Marvel was a superhero created, and he was Kree and was all fine, and he took the guise of Lawson and worked in Cape Canaveral in an Air Force base, and they wrote Carol Danvers during the feminist women's rights rising of we had to have empowered women, or plucky, as one of our podcast friends would say. And she was the boss of the Air Force base. And so Carol Danvers, boss lady, right? And then later on became the love interest. And then later on, the Psych Magnetron was a machine that was made that pretty much grants people who dream of it or wish for something whatever they want, their manifestations. And then it said that in her subconscious that she wanted to be Marvel. And so she literally got the powers of Captain Marvel and became Miss Marvel. So that's how that's changed as well. But no, later on, like she went to do a lot of X-Men stuff, and you know, she got really popular because of Civil War. She was number 2 to Iron Man on his faction. And then the writers were like, oh shit, like people like that shit. And they really liked her adaptation of when she was in House of M. And that's during the X-Men event where Wanda, Scarlet Witch, pretty much said no more mutants and created different universes and shit like that. Whoa. And Miss Marvel was the most popular superhero in her own universe. And people really, really dug that. People really liked her being happy and being loving, wanting to be Miss Marvel and not being under the shadow of Marvel.
Huh.
And then now we have, pretty much like we talked about last week, Katie Sue DeConnick, who pretty much revamped the character and how the character like portrays himself.
Yeah.
And is now one of like the most popular female characters in Marvel.
She actually fell out of the comics for a minute when Rogue took her powers and essentially took her place. But
wow.
Josh?
Here she
I
is.
was going to say Kelly Sue DeConnick has a very, very brief cameo. Like,
in the subway.
Passing cameo.
Really?
She has the red hair and the glasses.
I blew it. I didn't see it. I missed it. Although, to be fair, shout out to my grandpa. I went with him, and there was a few times he went, "What's happening?" I had to go, "Oh." He loved it, though. To be fair, he loved the whole thing. He was like, "That was great. That was a blast."
Yeah.
I was like, "You didn't understand anything." He's like, "Oh, it was great to watch."
Before we get into the production of things, I want to throw in this little for the clickbaity stuff. These are the 6 things that were updated and adapted from
Mm-hmm.
from the comics to this story.
Am I doing it right, Tom?
Yes, you are. Just point to the camera, everyone at home who's
Your arm needs to be a little bit more like, look how, like,
Stern.
everyone at home, just imagine Corey pointing at your face.
Yes.
So the origin, initially, again, she was for the first thing, she was like the boss. She wasn't like a pilot. She was just the boss of an Air Force base. So it's changed it where it's more of an audience surrogate character. So it's not more of like an authoritarian character. And Marvel was not, Annette Bening was not a scientist, but instead a man. And so that changes the dynamic where she gets her powers
Still
like
a
instead
pilot.
of her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right.
It's now like an empowered woman empowers women.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool message. Third thing was that the Kree Skrull War was expedited essentially for this film. A lot of people were guessing that, the time gap between 1995 and, the time from Infinity War, Captain Marvel was going to be spending time fighting off the Kree during the Skrull or the Skrulls during blah, blah, blah. But instead, as Corey just said, she's pretty much finding a home for the Skrulls. And everything that's happened in the Kree Skrull War has already happened.
It's a hard thing to say. We've tried to say that 5 or 6 times.
Pre-Skrull War.
Pre-Skrull War.
Yeah.
Pre-Skrull War.
Yeah.
And no more Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde feeling. So normally she would be Carol Danvers. When she got the power from the psych magnetron, not like an engine, that's a change. She would black out. She would not have any memories of her being Miss Marvel. So she would wake up and she would be Carol Danvers, and then all of a sudden she's like, "What happened?" And then all of a sudden during the night she'd be Miss Marvel. So it kind of took her. She was a bystander in her own stories.
Wow.
She wasn't in control. And then
it's interesting because the only comic I've really ever read was the one that we did for
one
the
that we
previous
did.
podcast.
The
So
hire which they referenced in
right. So
Higher version faster,
baby.
All of this previous knowledge is completely new for me.
And
so it's very interesting.
And the thing is, I want you to know that what you read is the final form. And even then it's retconned even more. In the current continuity, they've just redone her origin again. In that one we've read,
Really?
She got the powers from the Machine, from Captain Marvel, and all that shit.
Right.
But now in the current run, she was born a Kree. Her mom is Kree, so she's half Kree.
Oh.
So it changes everything. Where it's you didn't have to
Star-Lord?
Yeah, which is they did that with the comic book, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It changes the story of you no longer have to live under someone's mantle. But anyways, and the last thing, Supreme Intelligence is more of an artificial intelligence, and Corey can talk a little bit about this.
Oh, what, the giant head that it is in the comics?
Yeah, in the comic book, it's more like Zordon.
It looks like either like the Wizard of Oz, or I described it kind of as, you remember Krang from the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
He looks just like the stomach part of Krang.
Ew.
But he's all green and got
Okay
tubes
that it
coming
changed.
in.
And that Supreme Intelligence is a little bit more of a spiritual as well as a religious and intellectual leader. So it's
Which
not
I
just
thought that was interesting.
And the fun fact is that the things you see on her head is supposed to be a nod to how Supreme Intelligence actually looks with all the tentacles on its head.
Oh wow.
It's supposed to be a...
and then lastly, the sixth one, main one I thought was really cool, is that Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn, he can't transform normally in the comic books. He has cable-like cybernetic appendages, and he was one of the few.
Can any scroll?
Kree?
Yeah, scroll. It is scroll. I was right.
Sorry,
Never
now
mind.
I'm messing you up.
So a long time ago, back in the day, the Celestials would go to planets and take an alien race and then try
Because
to.
there's the whole story. Sorry, I forgot.
They would try to do experiments and try to progress evolution. And so there was 4 different types of scrolls. The deviant scrolls were the one that could shapeshift. And so this is what this.
There's a great storyline with them where they've actually taken over parts of the government and superhero things. You find out that they're actually...
That's a scroll invasion.
Yeah.
But the thing
Terrifying.
is, the reason why the Kree Skrull War happens,
Wow.
is because
PSW.
Because later on, after this, the deviants who were warfaring took the Kree and took another alien race and put them on the blue side of the moon, which is oxygen filled, and said you have a year to build technology. And the Kree developed a high tech technology, and the other ones developed a lush garden. And then the Skrulls didn't like that. They were we want the lush garden. We want peace. We were they were commerce. And the Kree were fuck you guys, and they started the war.
Oh.
And so that's where all this stuff is.
The war, the pre-Skrull war?
No. But yeah, Talos doesn't Talos can't transform. He actually could go fist to fist with the Hulk. That's what his thing is.
The Tree Skull War.
Anyways, those were the 6 different things that they adapted for the better.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of things I didn't know.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys at home
Sound
like
of one hand.
Going a little to
Trying to
the facty facts.
Yes, please.
So the runtime was 121 minutes.
Yeah, baby.
A whopping
Giggity.
120, and it was released.
Wow, all English is now
Yes.
hard.
It was
Thank you,
released
Pre-Skrull
right after the
War.
Pre-Skrull
March
War.
8th. So last week, it was distributed by
It was distributed by Marvel.
Marvel/Disney.
Disney.
Director is Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. It's kind of a funny story. Sugar, Mississippi Grind are some titles that they would be involved with.
So the writers
Kevin
are
Feige. Producer Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige, writers Anna Boden, Ryan Fleck.
Yes, Geneva Robertson Dwaret, which I learned that this is the first superhero film that is actually fully just women writers,
Wow.
Nice.
which is kind of fun. Tomb Raider, the first one, version of upcoming D&D, Silver Sable. Wow.
She's lined up for those.
Carol Danvers was created by Roy Thomas Gene Conlon.
And Gene Conlon.
And Gene Conlon, thank you. Now the cast, we have Brie Larson.
Yes,
Brie Larson.
thank you. No, it's great.
Recent titles would be Room, which she won an Oscar for.
Oh
which
my
is
God.
incredible.
We've
also got.
I have a story about that later.
Okay. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Sam Jackson is Sam Jackson.
Yep.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Can we throw in Brie Larson's? Can we just also throw in 21 Jump Street?
I mean, we can also throw in Touched by an Angel if we
Yeah,
want to.
And Kong.
Oh
Yeah.
my
My
God.
grandma's favorite show.
Yeah.
And Kong, where she was also with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And Tom Middleton.
We've got Ben Mendelsohn, who Dark Knight Rises, Ready Player One, Bloodlines. I mean, he's an up and coming guy that he was already around, but
Yeah.
now he's getting in there.
places.
We've got a net. I
hope he finally gets some good work soon.
Yeah, I know. It's really sad. It's really, really sad.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Wow.
Annette Bening. Jude Law. You've got Yumbledore,
Yumbledore.
Alfie, The Holiday.
Yes.
We've of course got
Sherlock
the
Holmes.
return of Clark Gregg, who is Coulson.
Yeah.
And I would like to make a special shout out to McKenna Grace. She's the young Captain Marvel. The reason being is if you get a chance to see her in things like I, Tonya and Gifted,
Oh,
which
shit.
she was
In.
I just really think that she's an up and coming young talent that she didn't really get to do much.
Yeah.
But she's in it, and I went, her.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Like an Abigail
Also,
Breslin.
shout out to Lee Pace because
Yes.
Yeah.
Ronan was one of my favorite characters in Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love that idea. And then
And a little known guy
in
named
this.
you may not know him, you may, Stan Lee. He's
Yeah,
up
he's a
and
tiny-
yeah, just a little bit part,
tiny.
but he's great in it. I don't know.
So the budget was 158 million, and the gross. Oh my goodness!
The disgusting opening
worldwide.
week.
Worldwide, 455 million opening weekend.
Guess
Yeah.
who hadn't looked at that number until right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the current
Isn't that dope?
Rotten Tomatoes is 80% with an audience 57. But you know,
Wow.
we can't.
That's there's a whole thing there.
Yeah, I mean, disclaimer with that audience score is that it had been review bombed.
yeah.
Before
had-
it came out.
So
I mean,
Rotten
again,
Tomatoes
don't
had
look
to
at that
change
score.
their policy
Yeah,
because
it's-
of
And
what
by
happened with
review
the-
bomb,
Completely
you mean
inaccurate.
just like a lot
people
of
going in specifically giving it a negative review to do that.
right.
like it was getting negative reviews before the movie even came up. Before a critic could even see it.
So read the positive reviews if you do use Rotten Tomatoes, but
We
you don't need
never
to use Rotten Tomatoes.
recommend it.
Use your
Yeah.
own brain.
Again, don't let it. Don't use Rotten Tomatoes as a lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use it as
As
a
the decision maker.
Right, right, right.
Look
If
at
you
the
want to
number.
go see something because you're excited about it.
And if you don't want to, you should see it anyway.
And hopefully,
So-
as you'll see,
Or no.
that that doesn't always translate to
Right.
how the movie actually is. So
So what's that bring us to?
Can we now talk about it?
Yeah.
We can now talk
Like
about it.
get right into like
Hey!
favorite
Right
character,
into it.
favorite parts.
Yes.
Okay. Number one,
It was good.
The new Marvel opening with Stan
the
Lee.
new Marvel opening made me
Cried so many tears.
and then what happens right after it? Thank you, Stan.
Thank you, Stan.
Oh, the whole
Perfect.
there was a standing ovation.
Me
in
too,
our-
yeah.
in our- like it
Yeah.
was just
Shout out Vancouver, Washington.
when it just started happening, it was like you just start hearing, oh,
I just heard claps.
know.
You just heard claps.
oh, oh,
There
no.
was actually like I was in a completely packed theater, and
yeah.
everyone, the moment it went, "Thank you, Stan," I heard everyone in the theater go, "Oh,"
yeah.
it was just too real.
That was
I
pretty-
know.
that was pretty amazing.
because there's gonna
Yeah.
be
Hurt.
there was a
Uh,
pause on mine.
I mean, since we're on the subject, Stan Lee reading Mallrats,
yeah.
that
which is his
Oh.
first film cameo ever.
Shout out to
That
Kevin Smith.
was
Yeah.
incredible.
Shout out. Started his love of having cameo in movies, reading his actual line from the film.
It
was-
blew my mind to see that
Yeah,
because
me
I'm
too.
a huge fan of Kevin Smith and Mallrats, and I love that Stan Lee is in Mallrats, and that was probably what he was doing in 1995.
Yeah.
Was looking over the Mallrats script.
It's
Yeah.
it's the most beautifully meta thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, it's so cool because like you see, Captain Marvel look at her and they smile at each other. It's kind of like this is, we're looking at each
Yeah,
other.
it
Yeah.
stays on her reverse shot a little bit longer than it probably would normally.
Yeah.
That little smirk
just-
she
but you
gave
have
was
to.
just
It's nice because
perfect.
it's the medium looking back at itself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite part, I'm just going to go straight into the heavy stuff. My favorite
away.
part is when she's talking to the final form of the Supreme Intelligence.
Oh.
And she, is like, I've been fighting with one hand behind my back. What happens if I just finally let go? She takes off the inhibitor chip.
Oh, then they played. Can I just say shout out to playing "Come as You Are" by Nirvana?
Yeah.
That was
It's
perfect.
so good. My favorite part of that sequence is the fact that she sees all her memories of her falling.
Yeah.
And if I thought so when I first saw it, I thought it was very consistent, which I liked. I thought she had stood back up every time she had fallen from the same side.
Yeah.
But it's different sides. But regardless, it's the same notion.
Yeah.
Because also, what does the film open up with? It opens up with her waking up on her side.
Yeah.
And so, like, I loved this, like, mantra of her having to get back up again every time
That's what humans do.
Yeah, and it's not because like she got put down, but it's because every time, you know, kind of like higher, further, faster. Like every time you just about to run and you fall down, you know, you fly.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like that feeling of, you know, she has to find her strength in herself. There are points where I felt like there could have been cooler adds to that, but I really just liked that inward journey.
Yeah.
And it kind of all coalesces at the very end.
Yeah.
I think it's really poignant right now.
Yeah,
Especially.
I mean, I liked it. I think there's an interesting way to go about it, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts because it's just shot really well and it feels very good. Like to me, that's the climax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
That was one of my favorite parts too, just because like the relevancy of life journeys and stuff. So I saw myself in that character in that moment, and it was great.
Yeah.
That's
Are you gonna go binary on us now?
Yeah. 100%.
See it?
We'll see.
Anyone else?
I loved. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, my favorite part, like hands down, is the Mallrats cameo.
Yeah.
Like that, and I know it's not related to the movie or whatever,
It
but
is.
like
It's in it.
it's in it. But yeah, that just on a whole different
Well,
level.
tiny detail that
You're talking about the
"Thank
plot
you."
as a whole.
My mouth was open for like was agape for like a solid minute after that happened. I was just like taken back. I was like, oh my God. Like,
That's amazing.
And I just
Kevin
zoned
Smith
out
is
of
in this
anything that
universe.
was, yeah. I was like, because I was thinking about it, like, does he know about it? Like, what's his first reaction like right now?
Tears.
He's in tears. I know it. I'm sorry, Kevin. I wish I could hug you or something.
Happiest moment of his life, I'm sure, besides having
Yeah.
a kid.
But
And
I
wife.
think one of my favorite moments, and I knew this was going to be my favorite moment, but it's when she's like, it's after she goes binary and is out in space and is in full on mode,
fighting the
ships and
accusers.
like just crashes through one of the ships and just like
So I actually wanted
destroys
to
it.
talk about that because it's one of my favorite parts. I even have a note here. I said was what I wanted from the comic. So like I don't know
Yes.
if you go back and listen to our comic episode, I was left wanting at the speech moment.
Yes.
And I think I even said, what if some missiles hit her? And they're like, what was that?
Yeah.
And then it happened in the movie. And I was like, this is it. This is what I wanted. And I was so stoked because she turns 4 or 5 warheads that are planet destroying warheads around and just flies through them like they're nothing and meets them at the front of their ship. And I was like, then you give the speech and then it's perfect.
You know what's really great during that scene too is that when she's flying through one of the ships, one of them she just goes full like just jumping into it,
Yeah.
and then it just hits her, and it's like she's having fun at the same time, and you hear her say "woo."
Yeah.
So it's like,
What's
she's a
the
woo girl?
Woo.
and then another
a woo
one
girl.
that was like that was what was the line where Tom Middleton's character would like turn to a scientist and was like, you couldn't figure that out, or like the coordinates thing.
Oh, he goes to the science.
Yeah,
guy's
it was like, they're not-
it's in orbit.
It's an orbit.
Ben Mendelsohn?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or he's
You're
like,
the science
my
guy.
science
You
guy.
got one job,
You're my-
basically.
and then
You're
just
my
like,
science
He
guy.
turns to him and the scientist is just like
just-
looks back at him. He's like,
hands to the side.
I
Just,
was like, that's perfect.
but like that scientist, he was like really good performing.
Yeah,
like,
it was
was.
really good.
I was like, wow.
Gotta give a shout out to the Flurkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because how could you not? First of all, it looks like my cat, so I'm really stoked about that. But I thought it was used really well.
Danger level high.
Yeah, right. And then the human danger level 0 to none.
It's a cat, not Hannibal
I think
Lecter.
that thing's broken.
But it also plays into the in Winter Soldier when Sam Jackson says, "Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye," and when he picks him up, he says, "I'm trusting you," and I was like, there it is. That's how it happened.
Well, it was funny because I was thinking about, I was like, he's gonna lose his eye from a fucking stupid.
and they
reason.
trick you out twice.
Well, so that first car
wreck-
crack, I was like, his eye.
It's all
So
red. Yeah. I also loved. So I loved Brie Larson in this. I'm someone who obsessively watches interviews online and stuff like that. And I know there's been a lot of talk about performance-wise, this and that, and emotion and all that stuff. But here's the thing: I've watched a lot of her interviews, and I went in with the expectation of who she is. She has a very dry sense of humor. Watch 21 Jump Street again. All her lines are delivered very directly.
Even look at Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, right. And
So
so
she does good.
for me, it hit the spot. Like all of her jokes landed for me.
Well, I was
all
gonna
the
s-
moments hit. Like and especially stuff like when she's fighting the Skrull in the beginning, and the one's like, and she's like, like continues to hit it, like, or ask him, anyone know how to get these off? No one. Okay, here we go. Like it landed for me. It landed.
I thought it was. So there's sarcasm. There's like bitchy sarcasm, and then there's sarcasm for dry humor, and that's like, which is a kind of sense of humor for me that I just really love. And it was just every time that she had like a little like sardonic or sarcastic moment, I was like, fuck yeah.
It worked.
I felt like a lot of her humor is how I do humor too.
Yes.
So
let me just answer that for you.
Yeah, my humor is 100% exactly how she was in the movie. So for me, for other people to say it's wooden, I'm like, guess I'm a pretty wooden person then.
Oh, no.
That's
Well,
like...
I didn't want to say it all, though.
It's fine, fair, whatever.
Well,
that's
I mean,
like
she's
a person's take on it. But for me, that was like perfect and full of life and sass and smart.
I
It was a...
there's the whole element
agree
of
with you
her
100%
being
on that.
like an amnesia patient.
Well-
So like there's that whole element to it where
Right.
some of it is part of the performance, but yeah, some of it is just Brie Larson.
And I will say, like, I fucking really hate that word wooden in terms of acting.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I've heard it used on some things where I'm just like, no, I think you're just not trying to see it.
Yeah.
You had a preconceived notion going in. Ali and I have had this conversation a few times of just the damage expectation can do.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like I've heard it used on other things, like other superhero stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
it was like I was just so taken back because I like immediately out of theater I turned to my brother and I'm like, her performance was great. Like there was nothing.
I walked out going like, what is everybody talking about?
Yeah. I have no idea.
I was pumped.
I don't know.
I have Go ahead. Continue.
I was going to say there was kind of that Indiana Jones moment when Jude Law and her are having that final thing. And he's
That
like,
was so good.
all right, come on.
Yeah.
That
Come
was
on.
so
And she
good.
just goes,
She's like, prove to me. And he's like, I
Yeah.
have nothing to prove to you.
and I love that.
Yeah.
I have two different feels about that, but
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
talk about that later.
One of I think I will share this with Ollie. Another favorite part of mine is the end where he's writing the Protector Initiative, and then he sees the cockpit and it says Carol Avenger Danvers, and he changed it. And then what happens, Ollie?
You hear the music.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
Copyright
End
strike.
credits.
The part that I really loved that stuck out to me a lot was when Carol and, oh my gosh, I cannot remember her name.
Maria?
Her friend.
Maria.
Yeah,
Rambo.
Maria are like, they're reunited again. And having them just be like lifelong good friends was just like, yes.
Yeah.
I
This
think
is
what
what
could have
I want
helped
to
a
see
little
friendship
bit.
like this.
I would have liked them to establish their friendship a little bit more. Like show me like one of the memories, a little bit more of their interaction just to solidify
Other
that.
than like them going to the cockpit or them karaokeing together.
Right. Yeah. Well, because it showed even karaoke, but it was like such a quick flash.
Well, we won't talk about that. I'll talk about that later. But one of my favorite parts that kind of goes with Maria Rambo and her is after Carol Danvers finds out about her past with the black box.
Right.
And there's that scene that's on the farm, and it's just this shot. The way it's shot looks really nice. I liked. But it's kind of like, you're the reason, your signature matches the core. We needed to find you. You're our only hope. And she's like, I don't even know who I am. And then Maria says, you're my best friend. And she says, like, you're the strongest person strongest woman I ever met before you ever blew lights out of your hands. And that was like, that to me was like a really, really great moment. It's kind of a qualm because I wish it lasted longer.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, this is fucking great. This is really, really cool because like it is almost like a good cop, bad cop feel, but also it's like she doesn't need to have a purpose, but she also needs to have like the feel of like identity, the knowing of thyself.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like Fury isn't even there for that.
Yeah.
Like,
she represents her past life.
Yeah.
yeah, she represents her humanity.
Also, when Marie is, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Got excited. When Marie is flying the ship and like kills what's her butts, blue Cree
Minerva.
lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she
Gemma Chan.
there was another instance of me being like, please don't let Carol like sweep in and like save the day because I really wanted her to do it, and then
her
when she
own,
did,
yeah.
I was like, yes.
Yeah. I thought the music, I loved the music usage when I'm also really biased when it comes to No Doubt because I grew up listening to it with my mom, and so that whole fight scene at the end
with
playing
I'm Just a Girl.
I'm Just a Girl from No Doubt was I was so pumped. If I wasn't in a movie theater, I would have got up and like fucking danced around because I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. But I loved their use of 90s music. I thought it was really well done. I also had a lot of like the funny moments that I loved, like the Flurkin bit, but also when they're escaping and they're taking off in that jet. And they look back and Goose is just stuck against the boxes and stuff, and then comes up and like cuddles in up there. And I also loved the memories in the beginning when they're first like paging
Looking
through
through
her memories
and how they control it.
and you get the multiple Marvels.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was really well done.
I like the
You know what I'm talking about?
I like
That
the
was
objector seat.
insane.
Yeah.
Get her back in, focus.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, that's cool.
But I loved her turning around and then like being what's going on. She's like, yeah, I guess this, and this. And then she walks away. Well, I got
the
it,
scene
whatever.
playing
And then
back
she's
in-
behind her and you're like, this is wonderful. I love
yeah.
this. It reminded me of like Inception or something.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah.
in the best way possible.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Do you
Does
have
that
any
lead
more?
us- No, does that lead us
No.
to characters?
One more. It's Talos when he says when he finds his family and he says, "This is war." It's like my hands are dirty because of it too.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a really heartfelt moment. But yeah, favorite characters.
Favorite characters?
You want to go ahead?
Besides Captain Marvel?
Yeah. Besides
Okay.
Captain Marvel,
It's like favorite side characters, essentially.
everyone that's not Captain Marvel.
This is Goose. 100%. It's Goose.
Okay.
The Flurkin.
Marie.
Okay. Maria
Maria. Sorry.
Rambeau.
Even though I couldn't remember her name,
Yeah.
which, wow, good job, self.
with an EAOU.
Yep.
I will be sure to say his name correctly.
Wow, thank you for this.
Fury.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Fury. I mean, I'm always a Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson.
I do want
anything.
to. I do want to say my real answer is Ben Mendelsohn, like because
Yeah.
Talos.
yeah, 100%. Well done.
I think that's my
Well done.
answer as well.
He's endearingly evil.
I'm sorry. I just have to say one thing. The fact that Ben Mendelsohn wasn't a bad guy. Oh my God. Because when he started being a bad guy, I was like, God damn it, not
Always
another
the
Ben
bad guy.
Mendelsohn
It was-
bad
That's why
guy.
they cast him.
No, and that's
'Cause he
great.
can
But it
play
was just
that.
like I was like, thank you.
And then-
It's like Gary Oldman being a good guy. You're like, what is happening
But the
right
thing
now?
is, he's good as both in one film.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
good as the villain in the beginning, and he's good as like the sleazy corporate bad
Yeah.
guy.
and he's good at comedy. When she holds Goose at him, and he's like, whoa, whoa. I was like, oh, you're good at comedy.
But also, why would I turn into a file cabinet?
yeah, why would
And I was
I?
like, is this like normal space?
I'll save this for
File
Gush.
cabinet.
Space throttle? And he says, he just shakes his head. But no, Talos is
Oh,
my
because she says, yeah.
yeah, no. But Talos is my favorite character. It's weird because I feel like the writer and director, who is both two co-directors, really fell in love with that story, that character, because I think there is a socio-political currency with it, and it is relevant now. And to me, I resonated with that story a lot more in a sense because I was just like, oh shit, this is really like they're saying it without saying it.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, this is so good. And like, he's like, I just want to find a home. We just want to find a home.
That's all we want.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just want to have a family. It's like, it's so good. And it's like, they're, contributing people of society. And
Yeah.
it's like, Ben Mendelsohn was really great in there. And then
Mendelsohn.
yes.
Bendelson.
That's what I'm gonna call him from now on.
Moving on.
Yeah. So this is Tom's favorite part.
Men
Qualms.
Mendelsohn.
Qualms. Mine's. I'm gonna start off with
character.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ben,
okay.
He said same.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
He
start off with
put
my
it-
small one because I've proposed this question to everyone,
gosh.
and we still haven't got one yet. An answer, and
Everyone at home, play along.
this bugs me because I'm a man of. This is a $20 billion franchise.
Yeah.
They are known for.
This is
Are you gonna
$155
talk about
million.
what I think you're gonna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're known for
I have no idea what's
universe
coming.
building and detail. The fact that Coulson, one of my favorite characters in the entire MCU, because how do you not love him?
And he's only in 4 of the 20 films.
He's phenomenal.
I mean, I don't.
His whole thing in Iron Man 1 was to plant the seed of that it's called SHIELD. And his whole joke is that it's really long. And they bring it up twice. Yeah, it's a really long name. We're working on it. It's a really long name. We're working on it. And then by the end of the movie, he goes, just call us SHIELD. And you're like, wow. And that's 2008. Flashback to
What was that
19.
again?
Wow.
Sweet.
Flashback to 1995. What does Sam Jackson say when he gets out of the car?
Official SHIELD business.
Official SHIELD business. And you're like, what? Where? And he's there, and he just got hired by SHIELD, so he knows the name of what it is. So it bugged me every time they said SHIELD. When she puts on the hat, and he's like SHIELD logo, and he's like, it's not. But what about Coulson?
It would have been funnier to do the gag again.
Yeah.
To do the whole strategic holding and like someone cuts him off in the middle or something.
Yeah.
Like that would have been kind
It
of
would have
funny,
been
I
great.
think.
It would have been awesome.
Let's play off
Or
of
like
that.
Fury is telling him that he has to say the whole name, but you were
Well, 'cause
working
he's the
on
new
it
guy.
to make him
Like
to
if
mess with him.
Coulson maybe like stumbled over it, he's like, so, what is it again?
And
Yeah,
like,
you'll get
keep-
used to
keep
it.
been great.
saying it, and he's like, yeah, we're
Or
working
or
on
if he's
it.
like, this is the name, and then Nick Fury's like, why don't we just call it Shield? It's like, I don't know. Like, let's just go with the official one.
yeah, some sort of
So anything that would have explained why it's called Shield, 13 years before it's called Shield would have. It's a minor thing, but it is something that bugs me very much. Knowing
Fair.
that it
Well, I
is
mean, you
such a-
said to me, it's kind of baggage.
It's
because
kind of baggage.
Coulson is such a
It's kind of bad, but it's also
loves character by
negligence on their part.
Yeah.
It's whoever wrote this script, whoever did the rewrites. You know what I mean? Like no one caught it. Even
Right.
filming, no one caught
Yeah.
it. And so for people who are invested in this, it breaks the universe
Breaks
a
it
little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's my first
Unfortunate.
one. But I'll pass around.
I have a couple of, like, I feel like these are the main concerns, and the thing is, that's
I only
why
have one other big one when you're done.
this is why I say, like, I just don't believe in critics. And any critic that's listening out there right now, it's not, you don't represent all of them, but it's kind of like as a majority, as a mass, what happens is like you guys stick to very small things and just generalize and categorize a lot of things, and you miss analysis and then miss the actual intention of the story. The thing about that, what made MCU so successful, the first phase of all the first, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, their directors weren't big time directors. Jon Favreau was like pretty, well known now, but also at that time when he was making it, he had like a couple films, not that many films under his belt.
And they were low budget, almost indie films.
But the thing is that the writing team wrote the characters in such a way that people fell in love with them. And this film, in this sense, is going to try to do the same as an origin film. However, the thing that separates this phase 3 to a phase 1 film is that at the end of every film with Iron Man and all the other ones, there is a hard decision to be made. There's a decision that they can never look back and the world has changed. There's not a really hard decision for her to make.
Right.
The decision, the story is very different because the story is from them, men becoming heroes or a god becoming a hero, right? This is a hero becoming a human. The story is an inward, introspective look at my life. Who am I and what's my humanity?
It's almost DC-ish.
Yeah, and I love that. But the thing is, at the end, she fights the bad guy and saves the day. That's what heroes do, right? There's not like my love of my life is on Earth, and in order for me to save the Earth, I must destroy the only way I can get to Earth. There's not I must destroy my company to save the people I put in danger. There's not I must sacrifice the love of my life to save the world.
Ultimately, for me, the stakes weren't high enough because our only context for the scroll were just the few that we saw in the station and taking
Right.
their word for it, and it didn't present like any kind of danger towards Earth necessarily. I mean, you could argue that like once they're done with them and now they know where Earth is, so maybe Earth's next on the list for the Kree, but it just didn't.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's tough, like the Superman story, right? How do you make the world's strongest person have a conflict they can't beat? They make the story about themselves. The conflict is internal.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's interesting in a sense, but like there wasn't like a duality that she must face. Like, what if at the end, to me, this is my rewrite.
Yeah.
This is how I would do it. At the end, she's like, with Monica and Maria Rambeau, it's like, you can have a life here. Things will be great. And the Kree should be like, I guess we're going to continue looking for a new home. But the Kree are always going to come and try to attack Earth. And then so her decision would be like, I should go. I should leave everything I know to go help them. Yes.
I kind of have a question about, because the stakes and whatnot. I'm wondering, while you guys are talking about this, do you think that this movie fell victim to being I want to choose my words carefully, almost an insert movie, meaning like the MCU has some pretty big events that have been happening over the past couple of years.
So it's a 1.1
And and like the events of
Yeah.
Endgame, and it's like, okay, I'm not saying that they forced her into it, but
we're on this
it's
like arc that's going
Going
higher
this-
and higher, and then has to do a quick dip down.
yeah, so it's like action ensues. This is crazy. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile,
Well,
actually, do you
no,
remember back in
1995?
1995? Like it's kind of
I would only argue it that Ant-Man and the Wasp
Yes.
did the same thing
Yeah.
and executed it, where
Yeah.
the stakes were very no one else is in danger besides them, really.
and it's really only about them, despite other things going on
Right.
in the universe, so to speak.
So I don't think the scale has if done right, has much to do with it.
No, it's more about the degree.
It was some middle. It was a
Because the
weirder
next
middle
movie can
ground.
take place in 1998 or something like that.
Because
so.
alternatively, Earth didn't have to be in danger. That's one idea, right? That's the big bombastic scale version. But if you're going to do it smaller scale, then it's a personal thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there were
It was
necessarily
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like there were necessarily personal stakes either. Like not even once did I believe that her life was in danger at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, she's superhuman and she can,
She's
crash
fine.
through a ship
She gonna
and
be
blow
fine.
it up, and she's fine. And
so for me as well, like with her trying to prove herself, I felt like that was also like not a real conflict because the supreme intelligence didn't believe in her, but she believed in herself the entire time, and there was never any
Yeah.
chance for her to disbelieve in herself.
I
Well,
think
also-
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, also she's kind of already proven herself as a person before the accident, because she rose as high as she could, at the time or whatever. But she was a test pilot for like this super secret thing.
They wouldn't let they wouldn't let women fly.
Well, yeah,
Right.
and then working along that, like she doesn't have to make a decision of like, do I go to my past or go to my future? It's kind of like the entire time everyone's like, fuck your past, go to your future. The entire time, the Supreme Intelligence is like, oh, maybe we're hiding, of mercy. And then Jude Law's like, remember your training? It's like,
Let go
I
of the
guess I
past.
have to go to my past because everything's telling me to go the other way.
Kill it if you must.
So there's not a lot of like, go to your past or accept one. You get to choose. And she's like, which one do I have to choose? There's not a lot of that. It's like there's only a one-way path. It's kind of like a linear
Yeah.
game. It's funny thing that you mentioned the music stuff. The music stuff kind of hurt me a lot when I was watching it, mainly because they use it in different ways. So I've talked about this before. Corey knows. Fucking Guardians of the Galaxy, like it's a 2-hour-long music video, and it irritates me sometimes. But this one, like, it's
Sometimes.
it gets to a place where it's like it's almost a third character in the first act of the film. So there's some things I miss because I can't even hear anything that's going on. But then there's other parts at the very end, like when I'm Just a Girl plays, I would have wanted it to be like right the moment she like hits impact, it's like I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
Not like doom 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 doom. He's like, here's the music. Okay, I know this song. It's like I know what's gonna happen. Like the song's gonna play. It kind of takes out like the crescendo effect. Where it's like if it just starts like I'm just a
Yeah.
girl, it's like dude, this is awesome. Versus like
for
this
me,
is-
it was actually the opposite because I
Interesting.
got super hyped
Well,
during
yeah.
that. Ding. But I also love that song.
But even when she like the actual line is like I'm just a girl, nothing's happening. Like it's in the middle of like the guy throwing the pinball table. I was like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah,
But-
it
While
could
it
have
wasn't
been more of a
impact,
dynamic.
it could have had
Yeah.
better
I
impact.
did.
It could have been happening like right on the catwalk, right?
Yeah, it's my own personal baggage. Why I like it so much.
But yeah, these are the things that worked on me. Like a second thing I was talking to Josh about was like the mix. I feel was a little weird, the audio mix, because the part where Fury and Danvers are in the first Quinjet, when Larson talks, you hear it's like ADR soundstage, and then when Fury's talking, you hear like engine roaring.
I really,
And it goes back and forth.
my personal opinion about that is I really do think that it's the room, it's the theater. Because if you go to
I
a
didn't
theater,
notice that.
because if you go to a theater, different theaters, different companies.
I had issues with
Well, yeah,
audio
Ollie
too.
had
I went to 2, and like this, like the loud music thing only affected me in the first screening, but the engine thing I'm talking about affected me in both.
Yeah,
Because I noticed it on both. I was like, why?
Okay, so I'm doing the defending the sound mixer kind of thing. Like the process of sound mixing takes months and months and months, and I really refuse to believe
That's-
that would happen, and so it
surprised me.
has to be, in my personal opinion, based on what I know goes into mixing a film of this amplitude, is that it has to be because especially with 5.1 or 7.1 or 20 point blah blah blah.
Well, even talking about like different theaters have different export.
Well, they
settings,
might
right?
have different. Like Bonnie and I have been to theaters where we've walked out in the middle of a film and gone, that was too fucking loud. Like we just couldn't be in there.
I watched
and we
Dunkirk
went into
too.
them, and we were like, that is way too loud. And we could see other people going like this, and we were like, it's way too loud. And we went and we talked to the manager, and he was like, oh yeah, it got changed by accident. And it's like, so that shit can happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So like when I hear
For
a
me,
mix thing, I'm like,
it was-
I really don't know if it was actually the mix, but maybe the
What I did
house.
find out is that we were in a Dolby Atmos theater, so
Yeah.
I was super psyched for it. But they said it was like a new speaker or something like that.
Oh.
And it hadn't been like
It's
calibrated.
probably not
essentially.
calibrated very well.
Fuck
But yeah, for me,
yeah.
it was like the
Yay.
music was way louder than the dialogue. So
Yeah.
like, and especially it hurt in like pivotal scenes where the music swells.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is important line. What?
Yeah.
What you say?
No.
My last one is very much so personal baggage, and I've had this issue for quite a while, and it's the same reason. I think I was texting Ali about it maybe. or Josh. It was Josh. It's the reason I've never really been a huge fan of Superman. Is the whole all powerful.
Yeah.
There's a point that characters can reach.
The cosmic being.
Right. There's a point where characters can reach where my brain just shuts off because I'm no longer in fear for them or can almost, there's almost a distant, like I can't relate any longer.
Yeah.
So, and that's not to say that there aren't stories of Superman that I've loved or anything like that. But there was a point where, like, yes, she flies through 4 warheads that are meant to blow up a planet. And then she also flies through a ship. And at that point, it was just like, I don't need this.
Overkill.
I don't need her flying through the ship at this point. If she could have flown up and just that's enough.
The part where she's like glows her hands up.
Like that was enough for me to get it. But I honestly at that point kind of just turned off and was like, I don't know.
What I'll say is that for
but that's
me, I feel that too sometimes. But for me, the thing that but the issue that I have with things like that is that it's hard for me at a certain point. It's hard for me to quantify how powerful they are. Because like
the power scale.
when you think of like one, like Batman versus somebody else, and Batman like punches through a cement wall.
Punches through a mic like you just did.
Punches through a mic like I just did. And you're like, oh, wow, I can't punch through a mic. But then like, but then they
punch a superpowered being and they knock him down.
they show her being amazing and super powerful and stuff.
You're like, where does it end?
But then they go farther than that and they keep going. I'm like, okay.
So
What's
for
the
me,
upper limit?
me, it was exactly that. Like, it's exactly like I guess a piece of wonder is kind of gone. And I think Tom, you said it kind of perfectly. Is like there at that point, there's nothing stopping her. There's no decision she had to make.
Insurmountable
There's
obstacle.
like one of my favorite characters is Wolverine, and he is technically like a indestructible being.
But he's a B-class mutant.
But what they do is they start to put him in situations where, like, let's put him up against a guy who manipulates metal, or let's make sure that everything he loves is in danger, and he has to make some choice of, well, then I'll kill myself.
Let's put him underwater.
Yeah. So I think I was maybe just missing that the I don't want to say counter to her powers.
Well, that's what
the foil.
That's what I was going to say is that
foil.
like let's say a hypothetical scenario, because this is before Endgame. So if she's like one-on-one with Thanos, like I have no idea where her scale of power is compared to Thanos or Hulk, because I know Thor and Hulk are like similar because they had that they were able to fight for a while.
In the MCU, they are.
In the MCU, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Purely MCU
No,
conversation.
Thor's stronger.
Yeah.
Thor beat him.
As of now.
Well, no, I'm
you're
saying
talking about
right
like
now.
Avengers and Avengers.
In
2.
Avengers, like the MCU right now, that's happening.
Oh no, yeah. As of
MCU,
Ragnarok.
Thor beat
As of
Hulk.
Ragnarok.
Okay, so
Thor
Thor is
stronger.
slightly
and Thanos
higher.
spanked Hulk, and
Okay.
then Thor missed the head.
Yeah.
So Thor
Okay.
beat Thanos.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's my point, is that we have a little sense of like how powerful they are versus each other, but then like I have no idea how powerful Brie Larson is, because
There's
if,
nothing
like,
comparable right
like
now.
Hulk in Avengers 1, he took down a space whale by like throwing it against something.
He punched
but-
it in the face.
Could Brie Larson just like jam her way through that space whale and just explode it?
Yeah, I think it's a battle between a bat and a bullet.
Right. That's my point, is that like hopefully in Endgame we'll get a better sense of like her limits or
that scale
whatever.
is.
I would have liked
But-
just more of a foil for that. Like if they had even with Jude Law maybe had that relationship a little stronger than it was, because when they betrayed her, I was like, cool. I didn't feel as much like, no.
Yeah, he kind of
not
exited
him.
stage left for most of the movie until like
Yeah.
every like other conversation, like twice she checked in with them or something.
Again, that's
And then
why
that
I
was-
said like there's not a real bad decision for him.
Josh?
Can I just like give my view of that? So
Yeah,
both sides of the
for
coin
sure.
are being represented. That part didn't bother me because I didn't feel like the movie was about that, like about her powers per se. Because the other thing, the way that I view comics and comic book movies, especially when we get into like Guardians of the Galaxy and now Captain Marvel adding to the galaxy, cosmic, I'm like, there's always a bigger bitch out in the world that can beat somebody.
Yeah.
And so Captain Marvel, I see all that. I see that power, and I'm like, okay, there's somebody stronger than you.
Sure.
And I understand that this is one movie, and it's like you should have represented that in one movie, or the way that it's represented, like you are OPAF.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
damn. I guess for me, it didn't.
I would
it was
argue
like-
that it is a lot of the movie actually is about her power.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's why I'm feeling it.
Maybe
but
I think they just wanted. I think they needed to convey that like she could stop Ronan if she engaged with Ronan,
Yeah.
that she would have won. I think
Of course.
that was the point that they
He doesn't
were.
even have the power stone.
no.
Yeah.
He's a little bitch.
So for me, I was just missing the foil. That's something that would have.
I think it didn't bother me as much just because like this was the first time Earth had seen anything like it, and there was no need for a foil for her power. Like, I get for the context of the movie that like you would want something that made those stakes higher, but I felt like it was appropriate considering how lax everybody was about everything.
Is there
Yeah,
one?
well, I
That
mean,
makes sense.
it's not. Well, I didn't expect Earth to have anything close to that, but something in the situation. Maybe not, I don't mean foil in the sense of like I needed someone who was just as powerful.
Right.
But I need that situation that Tom was talking about. I need the Magneto to Wolverine.
Well, it's kind of like
I need something that is a challenge.
what you do.
Nothing was a challenge.
Like the perfect thing you do with Superman is kind of like Lex Luthor's going to take over the world and Lois Lane's about to die. Which one do you do?
Right.
Which
Like
one do you?
he's a fast man, but he can't be in two places.
There's
at
a
once.
Spider-Man moment too. Like
Yeah.
you can't save both. What do you do?
But he does, and that's
Yeah, I
fucking
know.
stupid. Anyways, two of the things for me are like filmmaking things.
Okay.
My favorite part at the fucking barn, I wanted it longer, mainly because when she finds out like what happened to her, it just immediately dialogue. Immediately like, oh, now you know, and you got to do the thing. I was like, I wanted the Mad Max Fury Road moment where she finds out all trust and faith in the world is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And she just like screams to the heavens like, what the fuck do I do with my life? I wanted that.
Yeah.
But the closest we got to it was, I don't even know who I am. And it's like, there is
not
a
enough.
sea of talent and emotion that you have. And to me, I think it comes down to the writing and directing.
Yeah.
That is when people say, and this is what I was talking about, where everyone's like, it's wooden acting. Da, da. For me, it's like, I think it's almost restricted acting. Because I think she's obviously doing the best at what's characters being directed and written. Because I don't think there's a lot of points where she can do these bravado places and stuff like that. Like if it's written like Sam Raimi style, then it's like, I'm gonna see this bitch cry. I'm gonna see fucking emotion. I'm gonna see fucking her like shitting her pants or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't see that in this,
Forgot
right?
the part where that's my problem.
And the part where you like the blah part, or like, hey, does anyone know how to get these off? No? Okay. Like, that felt very Buffy, right? And I love that a lot.
I love
But
that.
I
Yeah,
want
I
it,
liked
but
it a lot.
it's cut so fast that I'm just like, I can't appreciate the
not
moment.
giving
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
chance
wish
to-
after she said that, no one?
Well-
I would have loved just to look around for a second.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
why, just a why.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is it. And it's like, those are small things where I wish it would
Let
have
it
been.
breathe for a sec.
Yeah, and that's
Comedy needs to breathe.
And that also happened again with another one of my favorite parts is when she stands up and you see all the times she's standing up.
Yeah.
And I think it's operating upon me that I've watched Aelita now. And when she fell down, that dude picked her up. And this time was kind of like she picked herself up the entire time.
Yeah.
And so like when she picks her up, yeah, she's fucking gonna do what she's done all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
It's like there's no
It wasn't a
growth.
grand moment.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Yeah.
you're just connecting all the times that you were badass, which is fine, but it's kind of like now you don't need somebody kind of feel
Yeah.
instead. But then it would have been cool if a Jan Rock had always been there for her or
Well,
something like that, right?
he does pick her up in the beginning,
Yeah. Like
and she tells him not to. right?
yeah, and then it's like
Threatens him.
Yeah.
but it's like it just at that point where it's like I just wish like there was that. It's like if you're gonna use that, do it this way moment, or it's like I would have done it this way. So I would have done it where it's like her dad picked her up, or blah blah picked her up, or blah,
Yeah.
her friend picked her up. But I was like this time, no
I'm
one's
gonna do
pick
it
her up.
myself.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
I remember
There was-
you noted something about that end
Yeah,
part there. I just wanted to make
it-
sure we touched on that.
It kind of bugged me, and I think I'm bringing personal baggage to it of when Josh is like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
But when he's like, prove it to me, prove that you can like, fight me without your powers or whatever, and prove that you've like gotten your emotions in check. And then when she was like, I don't have to do anything, like
I don't have
to
anything
me,
to prove to you.
right? But to me that read personally as like, I don't have to do anything. I'm already badass. I've always been a badass, and now I'm more of a badass. Shut up. Like, I wish that she would have been like, okay.
I get that, but for me, it was more of a you've lied to me my whole life. Why should I do anything for you?
Right.
Yeah.
And I see that side too. And so
my last 6 years.
That part was like there's a duality within me.
yeah, no, she's
right,
reading it
About
both
this.
ways.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm reading it both ways because I was like, fuck yeah, you don't gotta do shit. But at the same
You're
time,
also gonna like, I want to see that.
but I also want to be like, yeah, fucking lay him out. I want to
yeah,
see it.
right.
If you ever watch Broken Arrow,
You also like fighting.
I super love fighting.
If you ever
And
watch-
so much of the fighting had been really good, and I was like, yes.
if you ever watch Broken Arrow, it's literally mapped the same way with John Travolta, Christian Slater. Fight at
Yeah.
the beginning, fight at the end, and then the end, the hero wins. It's like, oh my god! But I liked that the Indiana Jones did.
Yeah, which
and-
came about because he had a flu.
I had a couple of qualms.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, he had the flu and he was just
Couldn't
wanted
do
it to be
fights.
done. Okay, it's such a little thing. It doesn't break the movie, but and I'm pulling an Ollie here.
do
I
it.
needed some explanation for the Tesseract
Yeah.
of how it got into Lawson's hands.
Yes. What, did you?
Corey
call
is
it?
so happy right now.
No, because like you're
we
talking
talked about this.
You're talking about like the connection and stuff like that. Like, did you have like an answer
Explain
for it?
it.
What do you mean?
Like, how did she get it? Because it's supposed to be in the Arctic.
No, I didn't. But my
Josh is like,
I
just someone talk with
No,
words.
Tony Stark pulls it out.
Yeah.
No, Tony Stark, his dad. Howard Stark pulls
and
it out.
then he pulls it out
And he
before
lost
he
it.
finds Captain America. And then that's kind of like the last we know before,
Yeah.
like later on, like in the events of Thor and all that jazz.
I don't have an answer, but for me, the explanation I for myself was if Howard Stark could find it, then a specialized covert ops from an advanced
Well, also,
civilization.
He
could
was working with the
absolutely-
military, so there's a
Here's
chance that he
here-
gave him that. He
That's
gave their
true.
top scientist the
You know what?
Tesseract.
I like that better. Yeah, because he's working with
I-
the military.
okay. I don't really care how she got it. I don't even care if Howard's like, hey, you're cool,
But just say it.
but just tell me how.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, it was
It's
such a
universe
tiny
building.
thing that I was like, the Tesseract has been kind of a big deal.
It's the thing that like, okay, you're an MCU movie, you're in this, you're connected to everything. Connect it to everything.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
like
Do
don't,
the thing.
Don't JJ.
I think
me.
it's cool that she has it.
Right.
But just tell me how.
Yeah,
Give us
Even if
those
Howard
threads.
Stark, because she's older too. Like they knew each other.
Yeah.
And he was like, and she's a scientist, and he's a scientist, and maybe she's a part of it all.
What-
And he's like, hey, I'll let you use this for your research or something.
So my theory that I like about it is she was working with scrolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A scroll stole it.
Yeah.
I like that better because I don't like the fact that like, oh, here's this gajillion-dollar thing, and I'm just gonna give it to
Oh, like maybe they shapeshifted into Howard Stark.
exactly.
Like,
that's
when
what
he
I
took it.
that's what I think.
Maybe.
That's what I like.
And then
like,
that's
But show it.
But show
yeah,
it.
that's all I needed was a little show. And then, oh god, this is such a tiny thing, but I kind of went, I didn't need
Why
that.
is she a woman?
Yeah, why?
No.
Just kidding.
Why is there women in comic
It was
books?
the autopsy scene when
The
they looked
penis?
under the sheet. I was like,
Yeah.
see, I was like, I just didn't.
because in the '90s everyone was obsessed with
It's
that.
actually, I know the reasoning. It's a nod to Mallrats.
Yeah.
Is it?
Because all Brody asks Stan Lee the entire time is the thing's dick made of orange rocks as well? And da-da-da-da. He's obsessed with the
He's
penises.
obsessed with superhero
Okay.
privates.
So I read online it was a nod to Mallrats.
Okay.
Which makes a lot of sense, and you might have read online, Corey, and we're spelling it now. Is Ryan Fleck as well as Anna Boden are like independent filmmakers. They write and direct everything they do. They're also Sundance film winners.
Yeah.
So their short film like got like the scholarship to like make money and like do it in a lab. And so Kevin Smith, you know, in those same circles, independent filmmaker.
Yeah.
So they probably playing, you know, like, oh, we're at this place.
Probably a fan of his.
We
Yeah.
definitely have to do some homage to him.
So I read online that that's what that was.
Cool.
If
Nice.
that helps at all.
Cool.
It do.
It does.
It do.
I mean, it's still kind of one of those things that I'm like, I appreciate that.
I think I might
but
have
it was
had
still kind of like
qualm.
out of.
Sure.
Anyway. I love you, Kevin Smith.
Any other qualms?
I have a small qualm. Well, it's not a small qualm. I was kind of hoping for this to happen, but I know I get it. It's pre-powerful
Oh,
Ronin,
it's the
Am I gonna-
Bat- there's no Batman thing.
pre-Power Stone. I get
Am
it.
I going to punch
Yeah.
you again?
But Ronin is still like a warlord or whatever.
He's part of the Accuser Corps.
Perfect, even better. Because I was so psyched to see Ronin.
I wasn't.
I was.
I don't care.
I think I'm on the
Did I
same
ask
page as
Tom?
Ollie right now.
I don't remember anyone asking Tom
If I remember, this is Ollie's.
You sound like, dude, I used to have a
Oh,
friend.
it's not.
I used to have a friend. We'd be driving around and we'd look out and I'd see horses and I'd be like, man, I wish I had a horse. He's like,
don't.
dude, I never want a horse. And I was like, well, good thing I didn't say I want to buy you a horse.
Well, go on. So you're excited to see the guy that I'm not excited for.
Yes, because I'm a fan of the actor.
So am I.
And I was like, I'm ready for her to like take on Ronin or fight with Ronin or something. And it just like when she was just hovering up above there. First of all, that was super epic, right off the pages of the comic. But
It was like a
I
heart.
really wanted something to actually like happen there, like
I
as far as a
also-
She
fight.
did say at the end that she is going to Kree to end this, the Kree planet. to
The
end this
lies.
war.
But like, I guess I wanted a bit more action in that scene.
You wanted Spider-Man
I wanted
3.
Ronin to do something.
You wanted 3 villains.
I feel like Ronan was
Yeah.
also not nearly as scary in
Well,
this movie.
because he doesn't have the
He
black
wasn't-
stuff
He
on.
doesn't have the makeup on.
right.
Because they were like, that's
and
bad
he wasn't.
makeup.
Well, he's not there yet.
He's
not to where he was.
Where he's his guardian. His entire race has basically been exterminated.
Okay.
So at this point, he's like a warlord supreme. Like, I got my army, I got my planet, I
Got
got
it.
everything, baby.
I was wondering why
then-
he seemed a little.
Kree on Kree on Kree.
Thanos.
Yeah.
And they fuck with the he loses everything.
Okay.
And so he's at when you see him in Guardians, he is this just shell of hatred. By them.
Okay. Yeah, I was missing. I missed
then-
my old shell of hatred.
Yeah.
That's all.
The other small thing I had to
Got to make room for character arcs.
right. Well, which I'm excited for. Like, I'm excited for like the sequel for this. Like,
Yeah.
Besides what I have
Which
in
obviously,
Yes.
hopefully, I mean, the thing is, if it takes place with Ronan the Accuser, it takes place.
If it's more like
Infinity
Ronan,
War, which I'm like, I know how this ends.
I'd be still. It's
Let me
awesome.
guess, he doesn't die here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but maybe I mean that's the whole point is that you make the movie not about killing Ronan. And
Yeah,
then
it
you
should be
just have
about
him in there.
Jan Rod.
It's about perfect.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They're in love.
Yeah.
Everyone at home, we're hugging.
Yes.
They're doing way more than that.
But for me,
Under the table.
the only
kissing.
issue I had with I had a small issue with Brie Larson's
Their own
performance sometimes
okay.
where I
was about to hit
love the like
My Sacktown Bay.
no, I loved her performance. I love when she was
Then make up your mind, Ollie. Just kidding.
Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I liked it when she was all like gung ho and like ready to fight and all like kind of silly and stuff. I loved that version because I was like, that's Captain Marvel right there.
Yeah.
Right.
But a few too often, I felt like we got a little bit more of a kind of a deep stoic version
Yeah.
of her.
She's a child, Ollie.
She is not.
What
I was talking about
points?
flashbacks anyway.
What
What
points?
points? Just anytime the movie got like super deep.
So
I
like
felt
when
like
they're
it-
like looking up the files in the library and all that, she's like, "Are you okay?"
Well, like just even like her walking
The
down,
Internet Cafe.
like her telling like the trailer scene of her like telling Fury to stop messing with the cat and let's get to it. Like I was like, I feel like she'd be a little bit more fun, quote unquote. I don't know.
I just don't think so because this is her life.
Yeah.
That she's trying
She's
to
a
figure
soldier.
out.
I guess
She's
so.
there to figure out who she is, and that's what her
Yeah.
purpose is. And so she knows where she's going to probably find out information about
That's just
why
one.
she's here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of the
so-
specific examples of the scenes, but there were just a couple times where I was like, I wish she was a bit
I
more.
mean, think of it this way: she
fun.
pretty much sees everyone on this planet as uncivilized and kind of stupid.
Which is part of my last qualm for me. I'm done after this. Is the fish out of water doesn't play that well because she's supposed to have no knowledge of being on Earth, C-53, this planet that like the Kree know about, and the Kree are all intelligent, but all of a sudden technology just happens to not want to work. But it's okay. That's the logic thing. But she acts as if everyone knows about Kree and Star Force, but then she knows about it, but she doesn't know that they know about it. So she doesn't act in kind. She just expects them to all know,
Right.
which is like, it's very opposite Thor, where he's like, oh, you guys are Midgard. You guys are fucking dumb. Like
Yeah.
where I come from, magic and science is one thing. You
Yeah.
guys call it different things.
Yeah.
And she's like, Kree, don't you know Kree? And then there's like, no, you see this? It's a bullet. It's not energy guns, right? So it's like, there's not that connection. There's not that logic connection of like, this isn't really a fish out of water because you also act very human personality wise, but you don't connect the dots of
It's
like,
almost like Terminator when he first gets there. You're close. Give them to me.
it's like Terminator, not John,
talking about?
not Kyle Reese
No.
in terms of hero, where it's like, he knows what's going on. He gets it,
Yeah.
but she
I
doesn't
feel
get
like
it.
I also wanted more 90s stuff in there.
No.
I feel like there wasn't enough.
I'm okay with
I
that.
feel like
Blockbuster
they had
Radio
a
Shack,
feel like
good
Blockbuster
amount.
Radio Shack,
the
but like,
cars.
That's enough.
I guess.
Intertextuality.
Ollie
has a
Ollie's
limit.
just
we
like,
just
I want
shut you
more.
down. That's a dumb one. No, I mean,
It's
I
not
like
that it's
it.
dumb, but I feel like if they had done too much more, it would have felt overwhelming.
I appreciate your
We hear
your
you and we
desire.
reject you.
I don't reject it. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd see it.
Is there any more
I didn't think there was too much.
qualms?
No, I think that's
No?
it.
So that means we can rate it.
We can go to rating.
We can write it.
Rating.
So Corey, you have all the votes. Who's going first?
It looks like either me or Ali, alphabetical order. That means it's Ali.
That means Corey.
It's me first.
We're in
Yeah.
alphabetical last name.
Fair. I give this a 4.4. I think it was a solid film. Top 10 of the MCU for me. But I think I wanted more things out of it, but that's just me being a fanboy.
Yeah.
But still.
You're wearing the shirt.
Fucking fanboy.
Yeah.
Core pal.
Son of a bitch.
Ooh.
No, 4.5 actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
Then it's two.
Did you
it's
wanna
one on
be the
Josh?
Huh?
And 2 on Tom and 2 on me.
So
No,
Josh,
I was just messing with you.
go on, Josh.
Oh man, this
Lay it on
discussion
us.
was a good one.
It's
It was
really
a real
good.
It was a real good discussion.
Twas.
Very insightful.
The night before Christmas.
It's gonna be a 4.8.
Wow.
Wow.
Still some things I would change.
Yeah. But all in all,
I really, really enjoyed it.
yeah.
Kaylin's literally has two numbers in her head, and she's trying
I
to figure.
do.
She's trying to figure out-
Kaylin, you gotta do
that
it.
face too much.
We got to do this. We got to actually like write it down and
I do every time.
I have mine.
It's okay if you
Look.
change it.
I believe
Look,
it.
4.5. It's
Because there
there.
are things that what's strange is we're all different people and you all express opinions and I go, interesting, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So it affects my rating because
Well,
I
yeah.
go, oh wow, I didn't think about that.
That's true.
That's
That's
going
fair.
to affect my rating. a little bit.
Technically-
You should still write it down first so you have a base.
Technically,
And
Josh,
then-
you expressed facts with your production info, so it's not feeling. It's fact.
Kaylin, go now.
4.5.
Welcome to the club.
Ollie, give me the crown. I'm 4.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I looked at my score, the one I wrote down was actually 4.3. But then like the more I thought about it, like personal entertainment and like I was being extra critical of it, which for me it's still in the 4 point something because
Yeah, right.
it's I'd hardly dip below a 4. But yeah, I'm just being extra critical of it because I liked it so much.
Right.
The thing about it for me is like it's a sci-fi movie masquerading as a Marvel film. And I
Sure.
think the
Yeah.
messages in there are much more than any Marvel film has usually had, which I like. But sometimes it doesn't play to a hero story.
Yeah.
And so it's different. It's hard to pin that down. But again, my qualms isn't with their performance is wooden and the story is all predictable and stupid and I'm a critic. But you know,
That's one of the
was
reviews
gonna
I
say,
read.
I was
sounded
pretty
exactly
sure,
like
yeah.
fart
that.
noise and everything.
Rotten Tomatoes.
so, but yeah, there's a lot of just filmmaking things I would change of like how decisions are made, what choices, what things that she learns.
Some
at
of
the
the
very end,
stakes.
and like how she develops to the final like catharsis of like this is who I am. How she gets to that final arc because there's a lot of things I feel like that's like now that punch gets pulled back. So that's that. Any gushing?
I wanted to make a little comment of where, because the more and more I thought about it, because I did see the term wooden acting be brought up several times, which I know you hate. I'm not fond of it either. But there were a couple times when, and these might be some examples that you will
I was
resonate
looking
with
to
that you
remember.
didn't like. But
This is
when,
the gushing section.
It is.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But no, this is
Yeah, I
me
was like,
being
whoa,
excited
what's
about
happening?
it. But I'm
You're spelling qualms part 2 wrong.
no.
on.
But where she's like those moments where she is kind of like phased out and staring at nothing and not really responding. That's kind of like in Firefly when Captain Mal is like, "Are you with me right now?" And the answer for her would have been no. Like, and to me, that was fucking great.
Yeah.
Like and I can see why people would be like, "Oh, it was really wooden acting," but really it's like, no, that was just fucking real.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think that was one of them.
It's also like the part where her and Maria are in the house, and it's like, no, the hard part was knowing that you were alive, and then you see like the glassiness in her eye,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "Is this you now? Are you Veers?" And she's like, "I don't know."
don't know,
And it's
wait.
like, how else do you play that role?
I don't know who I am.
How, this is, I mean, like again, I love CW and shit, but it's like I don't know. It's like you don't do
Yeah.
that shit.
No,
It's like no,
it's
you
not
play
a
it.
soap. It's
I want to talk about the MS Paint color wheel suit. I
Oh my
loved
God.
that.
Yeah.
When she went through,
That was
like you
really
were saying,
cool.
all the different ones.
Wait, is that the Rainbow Light Bright?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay, I was like, what the fuck
No, when
is
she's
that?
got it on her arm there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so like, you know, the one you told me about the rest of them. I knew the green and white
So
one was a homage to an old suit.
The first one is the first suit she ever wore.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is when she's Miss Marvel. And then after that
Green
she's
and white
she's
one.
light bright.
Yeah,
And then after that she's
green and white.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the end she's green and white.
I would have chosen the light.
And
bright
then
one,
that's when
but-
she looks at the little girl
Yeah.
and she's like, "Hey,
They're on
you
the
know
same
what?
side.
I'm not wearing on."
Oh my god!
And the little girl got
Good stuff
scared.
there.
And,
Yeah, that makes sense that she would be terrified. Did you
So,
snap?
But yeah, I loved having her pick it. It was great.
I loved when when Fury he gets scratched. He's like, it's fine, it's just a cat scratch, and then it goes back
No.
to and they're just like,
No.
Shaking
No,
their
he
head.
literally says no.
Well, no, I love it because it's actually very dramatic and it starts zollying in. He's like, no.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god, is there a curse on his eye now?
Yeah, essentially.
basically.
yeah.
I like the tape.
using the tape on the ID onto the dump rig.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he's like,
let me just get my tape out.
you watch me play with tape.
But I liked it because it showed his like, Nick Fury spy.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's cool.
I will say, like, that's one of my gush moments is pretty much any scene Sam Jackson's in. Like,
Yes.
first off, we haven't even mentioned the de-aging in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh
phenomenal.
my God, yeah.
Like,
The first time they haven't done it in just a flashback.
yeah, and because like halfway or not even halfway through, like minutes in, it was completely lost to me. Like, Coulson was the only thing that kind of stuck out a little bit.
He looks a little Terminator-y.
A little bit, yeah. It was a little Stone Cold, but which is
I only
his
noticed
actor.
it because I knew. Like I was like, oh, I know that they're de-aging, but
Yeah.
I kind of was paying attention
The
to
Sam
it. going,
I
Jackson
noticed it
one
at
was for sure
first,
less.
but then like a couple minutes in, didn't even notice. But again, you don't have to do much to Sam Jackson. He looks
Oh, and
great
that-
for his age.
Because Black Don't Crack.
Coulson being like a fucking
G?
and be like, they're not down here. Let's
Yeah.
check upstairs. And I was like, this is why we love
the
you.
Coulson I know.
This is why we love you. And then he's like, he's a good guy.
I did like the
The best guy.
some people call it Frankensteining a film, but I did like the homage that they made where it's like she's very Sarah Connery
Yeah.
and in as a Terminator role, because like when she's like looking for the scroll in the train and she's just like going at it's like this is like how a fucking Terminator acts, just beeline to a person. And then she rides a motorcycle, takes the fucking clothes, but it's instead of stealing it from somebody. But I like the mapping of the Broken Arrow fight and all
Yeah.
that shit. So I was like, there's a lot, and then like the whole Demolition Man, like we had to kill the rats from underneath the ground. It's like Dennis Leary's like, we're the good guys. It's like, oh shit, the people. It's like I was like, these are all these movies in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I
The fights were great. The choreography was awesome.
Oh
when I
my
could see it.
God.
yeah.
when I could see it.
I'm gonna. I want more fight.
I
More
love the
fight.
line about she's like, maybe if you were better looking, you'd understand.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, what are you being funny? And the other guy's like, it's funny because objectively you're very good looking.
I laugh, but
his
on the
little-
inside.
Thank you.
I laugh on the inside. I love him.
Jaimin?
Yeah.
Jaimin Hansen?
Every time he's in anything,
fantastic.
bad guy, good guy, whatever, I'm just like, oh, thank God he's in
enjoyable.
this.
Please more.
Thank God he's in this.
the thing that's happened with Marvel movies, it used to be that the end credit scene was kind of like, oh, something crazy is gonna happen.
Now
But
it's
now
the
it's
mid.
the middle scene.
They gotta
But
keep
the
you
last
guessing,
scene
baby.
is like the cherry. It's just kind of like you stayed.
Like
you
the-
probably really have to pee, but you
The
stayed.
ant playing drums, and then this one is the best one.
Because it's a cat. Because you like cats.
It's not that I like cats, it's that I have a cat, and I
like
deal
they
with
got
it
it-
doing that like twice a
They
week.
got it perfect.
They got it perfect.
Just throwing up a fucking
You'll hear that
Tesseract?
sound
You hear the
from the other
sound.
room, and you're like,
You're like,
oh
God
no.
damn it.
And you're like, let me get it to the bathroom somehow. And then
No,
my
I just
cat,
look and I'm like, okay, you're on hardwood. All right, just do it.
my cat, I'm going to tell a real anecdote the other day. My cat did it, and I brought her to the bathroom because I was like, this is tile because we have carpeting.
Yeah.
And she stops, and I was like, okay. And then I start to walk away, and she turns around and faces the carpet and goes, "Bah." I was like, you bitch. You bitch.
It's so soft.
And I love, does yours also like try to like bury it somehow?
We're
in
going to
nothing?
cat on.
No, they just leave it for me to step in. Thanks.
Barf
I
on?
love that the Flurkin left it on the desk.
Yeah.
Right in front, on top of like that nice leather thing that you put underneath to write on top of.
Uh-huh.
Just
Very
I
cat.
thought there were two
Perfect.
possibilities that he was either going to throw up the Tesseract or he
Or
was going
body
to go up
part.
to his name tag and go,
Oh.
I thought he was going to throw up a body part
You know what would be amazing
Oh.
is if like in
or
the
a
next
scroll or the
yeah.
in the next movie,
Not
if it
scroll.
shows his desk and there's like an imprint of the Tesseract.
yeah.
Oh,
That'd be
like,
great. Just a little
slimy,
minor
gross.
detail.
Yeah.
I literally thought he was going to throw up like a living Cree, and it was going to be in the office and be like, what am I? But anyway,
That would have been great.
on
actually.
that,
yeah.
I feel complete.
I'm
I
feeling
feel
pretty
complete.
complete.
Yeah, I feel complete.
Good movie. Love the mid
Further,
credits
higher,
scene
further,
with
faster, completer.
completer.
More complete.
Can't wait for Endgame.
All right.
I got super jazzed when she was like, "Where's Fury?" It's like,
Yeah,
And that was Russo's. They directed and wrote that mid.
oh, perfect.
nice.
And you could tell.
That's probably well, it's probably in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for reviewing. Thank you for sharing. You can check out us on Apple Podcasts where you can review. Share it with your friends, your family. Share it on the social medias. Oh, share it with your enemies.
Yeah. If you
It's a
didn't
really
like
good
it,
way
it's-
to get back at them.
If you didn't like it, share it with your enemies.
Yeah.
watch the video version if you would like to. It is now on
the
YouTube on our
YouTubes.
channel.
You can, if you are new to us, period, you can go to nerdon.tv and you can check out, there's links, there's articles, there's all the information about us. There's a newsletter that you can sign up for. There is merch, as Corey is pointing out to those people that are watching the video version. There is a brand new Not brand new. Sorry. I lied.
Sounds good.
We have a new podcast, but it's not new. They're 10 episodes in.
We have another podcast.
Another podcast. That's the word I was looking
called Trope Time.
for. Trope Time.
That Nikki and Izzy run.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, we also are going to have a little extra show, weekly questions. If you want to send those in, you can
That
do that
would
as
be
well.
the time where you say this is a new.
Yeah,
That
this is a
our
new
new
show.
That's where my
show.
brain
I
was,
was like,
trying to
wait,
connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can submit questions to questions@nerdon.tv, keeping it easy. Yeah, send them in, and you just might be in the show.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Keeping it easy, making Tom queasy.
Yeah.
Nerdon.tv.
Just pissing him off. Whatever. I don't care anymore.
It's never going to get old, Tom.
On that, on Tom being angry, as always,
Nerd on!
Ending broadcast.